Jeanette Jennings has been more than just a mother. She has been the unshakable foundation beneath her daughter, Janette Jennings, one of the most recognized transgender voices of her generation.
I hope that by sharing my story, I could kind of redefine womanhood and show that despite being born biologically male, I still represent all of the qualities of femininity that women represent.
From the moment Jazz was old enough to express herself, Jeanette stood firmly by her side, even as the rest of the world struggled to understand. Through television cameras, best-selling books, and interviews that captured national attention, Jeanette became a symbol of unconditional love and unwavering support. But behind the public image, there was always a deeper, more private story, one that she kept silent for years until now. From the outside, the Jennings family looked like any ordinary household in Florida. But their youngest child, Jazz, stood out from the very beginning. At just 15 months old, Jazz showed a strong preference for what the world labeled as feminine, playing with dolls, dressing up in her mother's clothes, and insisting she was a girl. At first, Jeanette and her husband Greg thought it might just be a phase. But Jazz's identity never wavered. She was persistent, insistent, and consistent. By age 3, she wasn't asking to be treated as a girl, she demanded it. Doctors eventually confirmed what the Jennings had already seen firsthand. Jazz was transgender. At the time, few resources existed. The internet was silent, society was unprepared, and prejudice ran deep. Yet, Jeanette and Greg made a life-changing decision. They would support their daughter no matter what. But this support came with battles. School became one of the hardest places for Jazz. She was mocked, isolated, and even denied access to the girls' bathroom. When teachers and administrators refused to act, Jeanette fought back. She turned to the media, bringing in doctors and lawyers to stand beside her until the school had no choice but to listen. For the first time, Jazz was able to live openly as herself at school. But the scars of those years remained, both for Jazz and for her mother. Their journey took an even bigger turn when Jazz was introduced to the nation. At just 6 years old, she appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show and later sat down with Barbara Walters for a groundbreaking 2020 interview. Millions of Americans were hearing, perhaps for the very first time, the voice of a transgender child saying with absolute clarity, "I am a girl."
Are you a boy or a girl?
I am definitely a girl. That's all I consider myself as.
The moment was powerful, inspiring countless families, but it also brought a wave of criticism, hate, and even threats. And while Jazz smiled for the cameras, Jeanette absorbed much of the pain behind the scenes, protecting her daughter as fiercely as she could. The family's journey became even more visible in 2015 with the premiere of I Am Jazz on TLC. The show followed Jazz through high school, friendships, medical treatments, and the challenges of growing up in the spotlight. For many, it was groundbreaking representation. But the brighter the spotlight, the darker the backlash became. Online trolls, critics, and even public figures targeted Jazz relentlessly. Through it all, Jeanette remained the shield, absorbing the blows so her daughter could live authentically. Years later, in a candid interview with People magazine, Jeanette finally let her guard down. She admitted the fear that never leaves her, the constant worry about her daughter's safety in a world that isn't always kind. Her voice cracked as she confessed that letting go of Jazz has been her hardest challenge. For Jazz, the message was clear. "I need you to step back, Mom. I'm ready to fly." It was an emotional moment that revealed not just the struggles of raising a transgender child, but the universal struggle of motherhood, the push and pull between holding on and letting go. Today, Jazz continues her journey as a student at Harvard, an advocate, and a young woman determined to thrive despite the weight of public scrutiny. Jeanette, meanwhile, is learning how to balance her fierce protectiveness with the reality of letting her daughter live independently. Together, they've not only shared their story, they've saved lives. Their truth is not one of scandal or regret, but of resilience, growth, and above all, love. At the heart of it all, Jeanette and Jazz remind us that family is about standing together when the world says no, and learning to step back when the time comes to let your child soar. This is StarLoop News, and we'd love to hear from you. What do you think is harder, standing up for your child against the world, or stepping back as they grow into adulthood? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss another story like this.